Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's weekly recap is for December the 5th, which is Tuesday, December the 5th through Friday, December the 8th. It is a recap of all four of those days. So let's dive right in and see what's happening in Genoa City land for those 4 days. First and foremost, let me pull up my pictures here. Here we go. We're going to start off with Monday. One of the things that happened earlier on in the week, and I'm not going to say this happened Monday, this happened Tuesday, this happened Wednesday. I'm just going to kind of do the progression throughout the week. We have Lily, and actually, I did a separate video for Monday, so this is Tuesday through Friday. Lily walks in, Lucy and Heather come over, and they come over. Lucy wants to be able to move into her room tonight. She's so excited the way it turned out. She wants Daniel to give her Sally's phone number so she could just thank Sally for the way her room turned out. She loves her room, and she's like, look, she wants like a staycation from the hotel because she and Heather's place is going to be ready. Remember that, like in January. So she's like, oh my goodness. And so Daniel says, if your mother says it's okay with me. And Heather's like, oh, so you leaving that on me? Well, sure. So she's like, okay. She runs back to her room and she gets up some iced tea because Daniel put out some iced tea for everybody. And so she's running back to the room and he's like, make sure you put a coaster under that iced tea. So Heather is talking to him, of course, saying, how Lucy is so happy and she's happy she moved back to Genoa City. And she's asking Daniel, how does he feel about it? And he says, well, quite frankly, he was a little worried about it in the beginning. He didn't want it to be awkward between him and Heather. He says, but, you know, things are really working out. And she says, I felt the same way. She's like, I felt we were getting on the right page, a common page. Everything is progressing very, very nicely. And she says, and I didn't want to rush it. She's saying, but you know what, Daniel, you have made this transition for me and Lucy back home here. You've made this transition like effortlessly. And she says, I really want to thank you for that. So, of course, she reaches over and hugs him. See, Heather was married to this man for a decade. She and him just broke up this past year. Remember, as a matter of fact, when she first came to town this summer, she was telling Daniel she wanted a divorce, right? Because she had found someone else, even though they had separated probably the year before. But look, Lucy ain't 10, Lucy's 15. So she's been with Daniel probably 13 years. She knows exactly what to do, how to move things, how to move him subtly without it seeming like I want you back now that you've got your head screwed on straight. So, of course, Lily walks in. She has her key. She walks in and she sees it. So she closes the door and Daniel looks, Lily, you're here. And he like almost pushes Heather, but not pushes her like, oh my God, we shouldn't be seen. He's like, no, my woman just walked in the door. Hey. So he jumps up and Heather sits back like, of course she'd come in right now, you know. And she goes, oh, how cute, you have your own key. Or she goes, how quaint, you have your own key. And Lily looks at her and says, yes. So Daniel's over there at this point. He's next to Lily, giving Lily a hello kiss, right? In front of, and Lily kisses him back. And She goes, yes, of course, and he goes, yes, I gave her a key. And so she says, because it's convenient. I just live right upstairs. And so she says, oh, and Daniel, I made a key for you for my place. And Heather was kind of turned away from them, like sipping her. See, yeah, yeah, Heather. But Lily is doing a good job of not really showing, not being very territorial, you know. So Lucy comes running into the room and she goes, oh, Lily, you're here. Hi, nice to see you. She goes, Mom, I got to show you something. You got to come here. So Heather puts her glass down, says, okay, because she wants to make an exit from there. And she goes, my closet is so empty. We have to go shopping for all new clothes and a ton of new shoes, right? So they go, rushing out the room. And Daniel goes, oh my goodness, don't tell me she's starting to sound like her grandmother, Phyllis, right? And so him and Lily talk about something. And she did not make an issue about walking in on them hugging, but he goes, I don't want. I want to make sure that didn't seem weird to you. So she goes, Daniel, look, I forget what she says, but she didn't say like, oh, it's okay, you can hug your ex anytime, but she did not make an issue of it, right? She didn't. So that was those two. Then we had, Cole and Victoria flew back to Oregon to visit Claire, and Claire was all depressed. Yawning, folks, depressed because, of course, she found out her life was a lie, and you've been lied to all your life. And so Victoria is like, look, she goes, when she walked in, she thought it was her Aunt Claire coming to see her, the woman on the run, right? She goes, oh, I thought maybe you would be, I mean, Jordan. I thought maybe you'd be Aunt Jordan. And Cole said, I don't think she'll be showing up you'll be seeing her for a long time. Like the cops are under her. She'd make their job real easy if she waltzed in there to see Claire. And so she goes, well, why are you two here? And so Victoria says, we want to get some answers. We want to know. We want to hear from you. What happened? And how long? Were you groomed for this? And just we want to hear your story. And so Claire said, well, what difference would it make? And so Victoria said, Claire, look, we are going to make sure that your claims are validified, are made valid, because we're not going to just dismiss you, because if your Aunt Jordan, what she says is true, that she stole you from the hospital and gave us a dying baby, we want to know. And so Claire was like, well, what? She goes, Victoria's like, oh, no, we want a DNA test. That's what we want. So she goes, what? And if I'm your daughter, you're going to welcome me with open arms and all is forgiven? Is that it? And Victoria says, we have to take it a step at a time, period. Because Claire, no, Claire says, well, I want something from you first. I want the charges dropped. And then Victoria says, it doesn't work. She goes, you're a powerful family. Victoria says, it doesn't work like that, because what you've done is on public record. So we can't just erase that because our last name is Newman. So she goes, well, I would have thought Aunt Jordan would have provided a lawyer for me. And so she goes, oh. And Victoria says, I probably not, right? And so Cole says, look, so you're not stuck with just a public defender. I will try to find you representation. And so she goes, you would do that for me? He goes, like, but Victoria says, yeah, but we want that DNA test done first. And she goes, and then what happens if I'm not? Cole said, I'm still going to try to find you representation. Everybody deserves a fair trial, right? So she proceeds to tell them the story how, you know, and Jordan was, she's always been nice to her, but she, at the age of about 5, she started telling him how it's a shame that your family, your parents didn't want a beautiful little girl like you. They didn't want to take you home. They just abandoned you. And I wouldn't let that happen. She goes, and she would just drill that into my head and drill it into my head that you all didn't want me and I wasn't good enough for you. And it's a shame. And it was she and I against the world, and we had to make things right. She says, and then as I grew up, that's all I had to hold on to. And I would wonder what did I do to make them hate me so bad? What could I have done? And so Victoria said, see, that's the brainwashing of an adult taking advantage of a child's mind. She said, because how could you have done anything when we had never even met you? So she goes, we absolutely grieved for our child. It changed our life, losing our little girl. So, they had a meeting of the mind and the understanding, and Claire said, yes, she would do the DNA test, and she told them the story because they said, Victoria said, but at some point, Claire, with the plan that you and Jordan had, you had to have known at some point on some level that was wrong. And she said, I didn't think about it. She said, because you know what? All I knew, she said, is I deserved love. I had deserved not to be abandoned and just forgotten. So, yes, I just went along with whatever plan Aunt Jordan put into motion because I did. I felt you all needed to pay. But now that I know that my whole life was a lie, that I was stolen, she's like, she's just like, ugh, defeated, right? Just defeated, deflated too, you know? So, anyway, we shall see how much you want to bet that DNA test is going to come out positive that that's a Newman. So we're gonna have an adult Newman coming into the life, just like remember Dylan Nikki's son. We had a son Nikki didn't know about, an adult son coming into her life. So we're gonna have an adult Newman grandchild coming into everybody's lives. So then Nikki was just haunted, and this pretty much covered a couple days with her telling Victor how she was sober for 4 years, 21 days, and so many hours. She was almost reaching her 5th year of sobriety. And it was just all taken away from me by these women. And she says that, she's struggling. And Victor's like, you fought. You didn't. She goes, Victor, it was your voice that kept me fighting. I kept seeing you and hearing you telling me I had to fight. And that's what gave me the strength. She said, but now everything I've worked so hard for is just out the window. And he's like, you're a fighter. And I won't let nothing else happen to you. I won't allow it. And I'm thinking, you won't allow it? Victor, You haven't been able to stop anything. You won't allow it. And then Nikki goes upstairs and she lays down and she gets a phone call and she's being Clay, it's Jordan again calling. And it's just this crazy old ragtime music, right? As soon as I heard it, even the second time, I thought, well, that sounds like burlesque music. That sounds like music you dancing to on a pole way back then, right? I recognized it right away. And so Nikki's, hello, who's there? Who's there? Hello. And I'm thinking, oh no, that number would have been blocked the first time it called me. And from that point on, I would not be accepting any unknown callers. So she comes down and she's a little shaken, and Victor's like, my baby, what's the matter? And so she goes, I'm just shaken to my core, Victor, and I'm struggling. So she tells him about the phone call, and he goes, what? Just playing this music, Victor, and I don't understand. I mean, I seem like I'm familiar with the tune, but I'm not. And it just, I know. He goes, is it that Jordan woman? She goes, I think it is her. He goes, baby, anytime you see unknown, don't answer it. Just don't answer it. Block the call. So she goes, he goes, well, who can you call? So she goes, in the past, I would have called Catherine or I would have called Neil. And he goes, well, baby, call your sponsor. And she goes, I will. I'm going to reach out to my sponsor. She says, and I already am going to there's a meeting starting shortly. And I'm going to go to the AA meeting. I'm going to get he goes, I will drive you. She says, no, Victor. I need to do this on my own. And I need to get my thoughts together on the way to the meeting. And he goes, are you sure? She goes, yes, I have to do this on my own. So he goes, okay. And she says, I will talk to Nicholas. Because they were talking about Nicholas, how they got to make sure he's taking care of himself. And as they're sitting there talking, they both get a text message from Victoria that she and Cole are visiting Claire. And they're like, why would they visit that woman? Why? Oh no, she's got to be careful. And he goes, they probably are going to get to the bottom of, could she be their child? He says, that's probably what's happening. Is I know Victoria. She's going to want to know if this Jordan woman, if there's an ounce of truth to what she's saying. And so he goes, can I get you anything? She goes, Victor, can you get me a glass of tea? I mean, a cup of tea. And he says, okay, my baby. Okay, I'll go get it. So he goes to the kitchen. She beelines for the bar, pours herself a good double shot of vodka, downs it. See, right now it's in her system, and that's all her system, her body wants is more alcohol, so she downs it. And then she puts the top back on the vodka, and she's thinking, oh my God. She puts a mint in her mouth real quick because Victor's going to be coming back with the tea. And then she straightens up everything, but then she sees the glass. And she's like, uh-oh. So she puts the glass in her purse. And I'm thinking, you better hope there's not a drop or two left in the bottom of that glass because it's going to be in your purse. Oh my goodness. Open up your purse and woof, the whole room's going to smell that, right? So she puts it in her purse and then she kind of steps away from the bar, but Victor's coming. So she doesn't have enough time to fully step away from the bar. And he gives her tea because she had put a mint in her mouth and she has this mint. And she says, thank you very much, and kisses him on the side of his side of his mouth, kind of like for the tea. And he goes, anything, my baby. And so she sips on the tea. And then I think that's when they find about Victoria, whatever. So Victor says, okay, he's going to go find Nicholas. And she says, I've got to get going to the AA meeting. So she gets there and she actually shares. She tells everybody what happened to her, the compelling story. And they're all like, whoa, because she goes, I was forced to drink. And she's like, look, and I know how this must sound to you because I know how this story sounds to me coming out of my mouth. But I was forced to drink. She says they put it, she was held captive, and they put it in an IV and injected the vodka in her veins. And so they were kind of like, wow. They kind of showed the profile of two women sitting next to each other, with Nikki talking. Occasionally, they look at each other and look back at Nikki. So anyway, she said now, her sobriety's been flushed down the toilet. She has to start all over again in fighting. And she says, so I see some familiar faces here. And, some of you I'm new to, but she's going to be a regular to get back on track. So Victor and her meet for lunch. And she was telling him, Victor, that song is nagging me. It's just nagging at her because Jordan had called her twice that day, 2 times. And so she says, so they're in the jazz, then they go to the jazz lounge, and Victor asked the pianist, because Nikki was kind of humming a few bars, if he could identify the song. And he goes, well, what does it sound like? And so Nikki goes, da, 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 whatever she names to it. And he's listening, so he's kind of starting to play on the piano. And he's kind of getting assist. And then he remembers the song and he starts playing. And she goes, that's it. That is the song that's in the background. So, he's really playing the song. And she and Victor are talking. And she goes, Victor, I know where this song is from. I used to dance to this song when I used to do that sort of thing. And he goes, why? This woman obviously knows so much about me. Victor, she's trying to break me. Victor, he goes, my baby, I told you, I won't allow it. You won't allow it, Victor. Now, Jordan's in town. Victor don't know, but Jordan's in town. He showed her. She's in the same room that Phyllis killed Jeremy Stark in, right? And she's ready to wreak some havoc. But Victor's saying, I won't allow it. But yet you allowed Nikki to drive herself to AA without a bodyguard tailing her. See, none of them should be without bodyguards right now. We already know the woman likes to inject you or somehow get poison into your system. She had you drink it last time. She'll shoot it through a needle next time. Little blowgun, got dirt in your neck, something, right? They all need bodyguards, especially Nikki and Victor. But he's not going to think about that. But guess what? Newman Security's never protected anybody. Not one bit. Throughout the whole scenario with Faith and Sharon and Kirsten, they didn't. They were useless. And they were on the property. That's how useless they are. So let's see what else we have. What else we have is as we progressed, Jill is talking to Tucker and saying, yeah, I'm not afraid of you. And he goes, yeah, you're afraid. I can tell by the way you're talking to me. You should be. And Mamie comes up, well, this is an interesting union here. And so Jill says, no, not exactly. I know Tucker is going after Chancellor with you involved. And Mamie says, I have nothing to do with this man after I found out what he did to my Ashley. No. So Tucker said, I'm just asking Jill, what's her number? Everybody has a number to be bought out. And Jill said, I don't have a number because it's my company and it's not for sale. And so Mamie's kind of like, well, that's debatable because you shouldn't have ever had that company to begin with. Catherine didn't leave it to you. So anyway, Jill, she gets a call, she leaves, and Tucker says, Mamie, you know, can we talk? She's like, about what? Right? And so then Mamie gives him the what's having no, you've done this to my girl Ashley, and I'm not gonna, I told you I'm not having no dealings with anybody like you. And Ashley walks in. Jill's already gone. Ashley walks in and she says, Hey Mamie. And she goes, because they were saying something about Ashley's name. And she goes, So what's this I hear about? No, maybe ask him to you up to something. What you up to? And it better not involve my family, whatever. And so Ashley's like, I'm interested to know what he's up to too. So Ashley sits down and Mamie ends up leaving. Ashley and Tucker talk. And Ashley, when she and Tucker are talking, he wants, do I have a picture of that? I don't know if I do. Yeah. He and Tucker are talking. She and Tucker are talking. Remember, she offered him, what's the name of that? The name of the company that they bought is Glycin or whatever. Ashley Gluceris, whatever the name of that company is that she and Tucker bought together. Remember, she offered it Glissade. She offered him Glissade, her interest in it, last week at Thanksgiving as a peace offering. She comes back and he goes, Okay, let's finalize the deal on Glissade. What's your number, Ashley? How much for me to buy you out? And she goes, I changed my mind. And he looked at her. He said, Wait, what? I changed my mind. I don't want to sell it anymore. I looked at the numbers and that company is viable. And it needs a company like Jabot, a stronger company like Jabot to really help get it off its feet and going in the right direction. And Tucker said, How could you just change your mind when it was your idea just last week offering it to me? I did. I just changed my mind. And I thought, and yet you all have a problem with Tucker telling you one thing and doing another. Ashley is the queen of that. And just sitting back just as I do not like it. And I used to like Ashley's character. I don't like the way they're writing her. I don't like her actions, the things that are coming out of her mouth, even to Devon talking to him and Abby that way. You need to use you and this, that, and the other. And no, Ashley, no. You're actually just I don't know, not acting with any kind of honor. You could not be involved with Tucker. You could give Tucker up, but to do what you're doing for a woman that's supposed to be so afraid of him because he said such mean things to me, she sure is provoking him a lot, right? So at the same time she's talking to Tucker, the Abbotts are talking to Jill, trying to get Jill on their side to join forces to have a united front. It's Billy's idea to have a united front against Tucker. He's like, we will all be stronger together. We'll be sharing information with one another, vital information, because let's face it, he's coming after both companies. So I'm like, whatever. And it's funny. Somebody in Comment Corner said how much they needed a break. Oh, the whole Newman family debacle with Jordan gave him a break from, he's coming after our company. Oh, he's coming after our company. He's trying to take, oh, goodness. It's like, oh, my goodness. How are they even doing business, especially Jabot? So Jill agrees. Okay, she will work with them. And they're deciding on possibly releasing that information because it would damage Tucker professionally for a minute. There's no jail time or nothing like that, but it would damage him while he's trying to secure extra funding and things like that, and investors. It's gonna take him a minute to shake off the bad press and the bad name, right? And so Jack says, yeah, but before we release anything, we have to talk to Ashley because it would be half of her company that we would be, that when we damage Tucker, it damages Ashley. So we got to talk to Ashley first. And Ashley walks in at that point. Talk to Ashley about what? So they tell her, she goes, I just came from seeing Tucker. And they go, well, Ashley, this is what we're thinking of doing and blah, blah, blah. But we want to talk to you first because this will affect your company. You know, we feel that Tucker is going to use Glissade, to destroy Jabot. And so Ashley says, oh, well, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to use it as a wrecking ball against Jabot. And so she says, and I just left him and I told you because actually it was my idea. I was going to sell him my half of the company thinking, you know what? Maybe he will put his energies and his thoughts on this company and he would leave Jabot alone. She says, but then I thought, I don't know. She said, because when he sat down, he really wanted the company. So then she says, I thought, okay, he's up to something if he really wants it. So she says, then I told him I changed my mind. And so Jack says, but you will sell to him. And she's like, what? She goes, we need that. We need you to sell to him. I guess so that this way Ashley has no ownership. So her name won't be mixed with Tucker's, when the bad press is or whatever their silly little plan is that won't work. Look, their plan's gonna work as well as Ashley's plan. It was gonna work. Seriously. Nothing's gonna work on Tucker. Only one that really could do any damage would be Devon. And that's emotional. That's it. So now they've made an exit for the actress Crystal to go on her maternity leave. Her and Devon talked to Nate because Nate had texted him earlier in the week. We need to meet, and finally they got back to him because they talked to Victor, and Devon wouldn't talk to Victor. Nate talked to Lily. Of course, they both said Nick talked to Lily, and Nick bashed Nate to Lily, and Victor bashed Nate to Devon, telling him, don't trust him, don't let him back in your company. He this, and this. And Victor just smugly. And Devon says, yeah, but from what I understand, it was kind of questionable what you put your family through with this. And Victor said, I needed to find out who the traitor was, and I found him. Victor don't care, right? So Devon said, thank you for your time. And then Nikki came out and handed her 2 cents about Nate, and Devon was like, okay. So Lily listens to Nick. But what Lily told Nick, she goes, Nick, possibly there's a possibility that Nate really was concerned about Victor's health. She goes, are you forgetting he was a doctor for decades? And he was actually Victor's personal physician. Why wouldn't he be concerned about Victor? No, he was just concerned about blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I'm surprised you defended him. She goes, I'm not defending him. I'm just trying to find out what happened as much as I can. So Devon comes back and Lily and him talk, and they both talk about, what Victor said, what Nick said, and then they talked about, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Perhaps he does need his family to give him something to land on to help him go in a positive direction. And I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't do it because of that, because Nate's a grown man. And Nate, as they have seen, goes in whatever direction Nate wants to go in. I don't care how much you in his corner. And it's funny, he and Devon, Lily gets a phone call, and he and Devon start talking, and no, they tell him, you're not going to have a C, sweet position. He goes, that's fine. I'd be willing to work anywhere. He goes, we have research and development. She says, because when you were working with us before, you had a lot of good ideas. And you would be able to do the research and get she goes, I think that's a good fit for you. And he goes, that'd be great. She goes, that would give you a place to prove yourself. But we would, we would be watching. And he goes, oh, okay. So y'all are going to be watching for me to make a mistake. And Lily looks at him and he gets kind of like this haughty attitude. See, he was still being himself there. And she goes, no, Nate, not watching for you to make a mistake, but we are going to watch. Because we are not going to just forget what you're capable of. I mean, we are willing to give you a chance to help guide you. She goes, oh, he goes, oh, guide me as if I'm she goes, no. To help guide you in development in business, right? Because you are still new to this. So then she goes, I got to take this call, guys. And so he goes, so tell me how you really feel about this, Devon. And Devon says, what do you mean how I really feel about it? Did Lily talk you into doing this? Because I know Lily probably wants me back more than you do. And he goes, you're right. Lily does want you back more than I do. He said, but nobody forced me into this decision. I could have easily put my foot down and said no. And you would not be here. But I didn't. But yes, Nate, I will be watching still. Yeah, see, there you go. She goes, and I'll be watching for that attitude. He goes, you need to be grateful. I am grateful that you all. He goes, but you're not sounding like it, Nate. See, that's what I'm saying. Devon's like, no, you're not sounding like it. And you're not acting like it. No, he didn't say you're not sounding like it. He says you're not acting like it. And so Nate just looked at him because, yeah, and I'm thinking, ooh, I already see that haughtiness that he had. So Lily comes back in frantic. And he goes, what's the matter, Lily? Devon sees it right on her face, right? She goes, Maddie just called. There are these horrible wildfires because Maddie's out here in California at Berkeley, right? Horrible wildfires. And they're surrounding her campus. And there's a bunch of ash and smoke. And the whole school's on lockdown. She's terrified. She said, I got to get to her. I got to get to my daughter. I got to get to her. So Devon goes, wait, just hold on. I'm going to call the airport and I'm going to get the Chancellor jet ready for you, right? Well, actually, it's not the Chancellor jet. Devon has his own jet. Chancellor has one too, but Devon has one. So he goes, I'm going to get the jet ready. And so she goes, okay. And so Nate is like, oh my God. And so now she's looking up on the internet, or even Nate, and they're seeing the things, the news about the wildfires and everything. And so she goes, oh my God. But he goes, Lily, calm down. Do you need anything else from us? No, I just got to get to my baby girl. And so Nate says, they're not going to let you on campus. She goes, I know, but Maddie needs to know that I am close. And as soon as they let it's safe for her to leave that campus, I will be there. So that's why I got to get close to my little girl, my daughter. So, which was nice. And she runs home and Daniel comes and she's so nervous. And she's telling him, he goes, oh my God, okay. And so Daniel makes calls. Okay, clear my meeting for tomorrow, clear my schedule for the rest of the week, blah, blah. She goes, Daniel. And he hangs up. She goes, what are you doing? He goes, I'm coming with you. And she goes, no, Daniel, no. I need you to stay here. I will be, he goes, but you need, she goes, no, I need you to stay here to take your meetings, to make sure things still, because he has a big product rollout next week. I need you to keep that going because we need to have a successful product rollout. I will be on the phone with you. We will be in communication. This is not something that you need to come with me. I can, and she's trying to pack her bag, big old belly hiding bag, and she drops the files on the floor. And he picks them up. He goes, wait, just stop right here. And he gives her a hug to calm her, just hanging on to her. And she's just hanging on to him, and she's like trying to catch her breath. He goes, okay, now you can go. You know, everything's gonna be okay. He picked up the files and everything. And she goes, I know it will. She's just worried, but she knows everything's gonna be okay. And she leaves. And I thought, okay, that is her maternity leave exit. Either Maddie was gonna have gotten hurt, not burned, but maybe some fire inhalation, and Lily's gonna stay out there. Probably the excuse is gonna be she's gonna wait, where's that picture? She's gonna stay out there while Maddie is recuperating. Something's gonna happen that Maddie is gonna need her to stay there. And she's going to stay there. And that's how they're gonna write her off for her 3-month maternity leave. So now this picture, we've got Phyllis. Phyllis runs into Christine. And she goes, hi, Cricket. And the first thing Christine should have said is, for one thing, you never called me Cricket. Cricket was a name my friends and family called me. You never were neither one. Christine to you. Or I don't even know what Christine's last, or is she Davis? Did she take Paul's last name? But no, don't call me Cricket. I would have stopped that because see, that was a little dig right in itself, right? So that's almost like Christine looking at her saying, hello, redhead. Jack used to call her Red. Hello, redhead. So anyway, Phyllis is trying to dig because remember, she saw Danny and Christine kissing at the athletic club. Now, they didn't show any further. They didn't show whether once they finished kissing, Summer and Phyllis said something, but I know Phyllis is not the kind to walk back out the turnstile, neither is Summer. So I'm sure they just walked by them after they finished kissing, and maybe they didn't even realize that they were, saw them or whatever, right? Because they didn't even show the scene, but Phyllis saw them. So she's like, oh, I know you and Danny are getting closer. I mean, and so soon after Paul. And she goes, let me get something straight to you, Phyllis. I don't justify none of my relationships with you at all. Never have, never will. But just so you understand this clearly, Paul and I are over. Over. What I do at this time, my business. And Danny and I's relationship is none of yours. Oh, so you're in a relationship already? She goes, oh, I don't mean relationship like that, and you know it. But we are very good friends. And who knows where that will go. And it's still none of your business. Why are you so interested in me and Danny, Phyllis? Oh, understand. Danny and I shared Daniel. And I hate it when they say share a child. Daniel's not a child. Daniel has a child that's not even, that's a teenager now, right? And she goes, so that means if you and Danny get together, then with extension, you and I will be in the same circle. So yes, it does concern me. And so Christine looked at her and she says, but it's not going to have any bearing on whatever decision Danny and I make, like whether you in that circle or not. And so Phyllis is like, you know, she goes, as a matter of fact, she goes, I'm getting ready to go over. This is a little dig she did. uh to Daniel's house tonight because Danny is making me dinner, some kind of pasta. So Phyllis goes, "Oh, he's making you the sauce. The sauce is so good." See, Phyllis is letting her know because see, he's made that sauce for me. Because come on, Danny's supposed to be been making it for years. It's Gina's recipe. Gina taught him how to make it, and him and his sister have a little rivalry about the sauce, right? So she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "So that's it, the sauce." Christine says, she goes, "So you know what? After dinner tonight, who knows what Danny and I will decide?" And she walks right on out. So she goes over to Daniel's, and Daniel opens the door, and she goes, "Oh, it smells so good in here. Oh my goodness." She goes, "Oh, we're going to have a good dinner." Uh, and so Daniel goes, "Well, no, not we. You're going to have a good dinner with my father. I am taking my leave right now." And he picked up his coat and he goes, "You two enjoy the place and enjoy dinner." So Danny comes out of the kitchen with his apron on. He goes, "Christine, you're here." She goes, "I know I'm a little early." He goes, "You're right on time." She goes, "But it smells amazing." And he goes, "You're right on time." So they have a really good dinner. And after dinner, they dance, nice slow dance. And I'm thinking, you better hurry up your evening because little Miss Lucy is on her way back home, back to her bedroom soon, right? So they have a really good evening, and they're going to get closer. They decided they're going to explore this, right? And everything like that. Um, so Phyllis is getting all depressed, right? All depressed because she called, text Danny, he didn't respond, text Summer, she didn't respond. So she's sitting in the jazz lounge. Now it's going in her head. Christine's having dinner with Danny. And so Michael walks in. This is the first time she's seen Michael since he's been back. "Is this seat taken?" And she looks up. She kind of turns her head and he sits down. And she goes, "You abandoned me." And he goes, "There's only two people." Or actually, I think he said a few people because look, Lauren, his mother, and his son, right? He goes, "There's," but I think he may have even said one person just to make the point home. One person that I would have to leave town for, which is true, in a crisis. And that's Gloria. He goes, "No sooner did," because he left, he says, "No sooner than I got her back home, come to find out she had some extra stuff in her luggage that she shouldn't have and had to turn right back around, take her right back to Singapore." you know, and that's when they probably arrested her because I think that's when they arrested her for that grand theft, right? And he goes, "And it took longer than I thought to get those charges dropped." He goes, "Otherwise, Phyllis, there is nothing that would have kept me from defending you, my best friend." And she looked at him and she smiled. She goes, "I know." And she said, "I missed you." And then she's, pity partying herself. Her kids won't even give her the time of day and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "None of that." He said, "Because you have to regain their trust, Phyllis. You know this." And she's like, "I know, but why is it taking so long? It's so hard." She goes, "No, no, no. Doesn't matter how hard it is or how long it's taking. You have to regain their trust." He's not letting her, it's everybody against me. He's not letting her do that, right? He ain't letting her do it. And he goes, and then she goes, "And then we've got Christine and Danny." And he goes, "That's okay. That has nothing to do with you. He says, and by the simple fact that you haven't done anything self destructive, that shows you are improving. He says, and I am so proud of you. And she looked at him like, oh, stop it. You always know what to say. you know, he goes, that's why I'm not going to let you have this pity party. Mm-mm. Nope. You are on a new path. And he just gave her a real good pep talk, a real good pep talk that she needed, and she was really happy to have her friend back. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, remember I said the Abbotts brought Jill over and they were talking to Jill. Well, Jack had to make a point how she tried to poach Billy from Jabot, and that was underhanded and blah, blah, blah. And Jill said, because first Jill thought, oh, I'm here because he's accepting. And she goes, what's wrong with it? She goes, why wouldn't I want my son by my side? And Billy says, Mom, look, when this plan works, you won't need me to help you fend off Tucker. And she looked at him and she said, Billy, that wasn't the only reason I want you to work for Chancellor Winters. This company is a legacy, and I want to be able to leave the legacy to you. I didn't want somebody that's going to watch my back against an attack from Tucker. I could have hired somebody for that. I wanted somebody that I have invested my heart and soul into to work alongside of me. And I'm thinking, who are you talking about? Kane? Where's Kane? Because she never has invested her heart and soul into Billy. That's why she didn't make Billy the CEO of Chancellor. She made Lily CEO, right? And so she goes, Jack, what do you have here at Jabot? You are working alongside your son. Your dream is to have your whole family working at the company. And so Jack said, you're right. And he kind of turns his head. Jack look at you, go. He goes, there's nothing more important. She goes, so why wouldn't I want the same? Why wouldn't I? And they were looking like, hey, you know what, Jill, you're right. We can't fault you on that. Cannot fault you on that. And she said it. So, I was like, you know what? She's right. Except for what would he do with Chancellor? But that company is supposed to be so big. He never had to work second to Lily. And even this time around, even if she makes him co-CEO, again, he could have whole different responsibilities, not just sitting up talking to Lily up in her office, right? So we'll see, because eventually, well, we know Chance is coming, so we'll see. Chance may be the president, but Chance has no business skills, none. So that's going to be all brand new for Chance, a whole new learning curve. So anyway, everybody, I'll be back next week. I have a ton of busy professional schedule throughout the end of this year. So I'll probably have to do weekly recaps until things settle down. But see, here's the thing. Be careful what you wish for. You want your business to get really busy and to start to grow. And then all of a sudden you start to get it. So I still will be squeezing in my Young and the Restless, even if I have to do it, like the weekly recaps. We'll see. We shall see. But I will be back next week with another recap of the Young and the Restless.